Guys, welcome back to another installment of Into the West Comics, a new comic book day edition. Sonny is over here looking great.
John Wick was so good, man. It was
my goodness.
It's great. Cinematography was amazing.
Yes.
We're here to talk about the new comic books. We'll probably get into John Wick as well, but maybe. New comic book week, new comic book day. We got some stuff over there, Marcus. Some of the good stuff, some Jed McKay goodness, possibly.
Absolutely. So so the first new series, the first new issue of the new series of Doctor Strange is out now and written by Jed McKay.
That's awesome.
Appropriately titled Doctor Strange.
Cover's cool.
Basically, it continues where the Strange series, also written by Jed McCain, leaves off, where now Doctor Strange is no longer dead, and you have Clea, and they're both together, happily married, and she's, basically like the Sorcerer Supreme of dark magic, and he's the Sorcerer Supreme of magic in general in our realm. And so little by little, he's starting to regain his memories and things like that, since now he's back alive, and it's made for some humorous interactions where he's like, "Oh wait, you were present when I was during my death, weren't you?" Yeah, it's different things, and so the whole issue is basically him going around and almost kind of like Ghostbusters, where they're kind of being called to certain magical events and resolving the issues.
Okay.
And Clea is a little more heavy-handed, where he's more like, no, we don't want to kill them.
Right. Because she's evil.
She's the dark magic. But it's a lot of fun. It's very smartly written, which is to be expected of Jed McKay. He tends to be a little more, I think he appeals a little bit more to the intellectual side of things. And so we'll see where this goes. Hopefully, it seems like Doctor Strange tends to be a harder character to write, because they'll start him with someone, and then they'll cancel the title, and then he'll come back again, and they'll do little one shots here and there, and then he pops up with different Avengers or in other books. And so I'm not sure exactly why that is, but he's one of those where it does take a little bit of some intellect to kind of get him and make him interesting. And Jed McKay, so far, he's done well with Strange. He's doing well with Moon Knight, still continuing to kill it on that one. So We'll see how that one goes. And then my second one, I've been on a Jeff Lemire kick for some reason. I don't know what it is, but he's good. He's just so good. He gets it. And one of the titles that doesn't seem to get a lot of attention is Little Monsters, which is a series that he's doing through Image. It's an indie series.
That's cool.
And it's essentially what it is. It's art by Dustin Nguyen,
who did the cover's really cool.
Yeah, who did the Batman and Robin little mini series for DC. Yep. And basically, what it is you have a group of children, and he's good at writing stuff with children as well too. Basically, you have a group of children. They are the last children on Earth, and they so happen to be vampires.
Interesting.
And they basically are they stay in this little area where they live, and then at night they mill around, and in the daytime they sleep, of course. And then basically what ends up happening is you find that their order is basically held together by a promise that some older vampires made, that said, "Hey, we're going to come back, but what you have to do is make sure that you stay away from humans, and that you feed on, they basically feed on animals."
Okay.
And instead of other people, because there are some enclaves of human beings still around, little sections, little areas. And what you find is later on, because we're now at issue 11, I think it may be wrapping up at issue 12. What we find is that the reason why is we discover that the older vampires went off to die, but they didn't tell the kids. So they're always thinking that they're going to be coming back, but they went off to die. And the reason why they left instructions with one of the kids was so that they know that
New table alert.
All right. Wow.
That was terrifying. Talking about vampires, and I thought
I watched that happen, and it was just as horrifying as it sounded. The chair was like stuck under the table.
So
vampires.
yeah, vampires.
Oh my gosh.
Edit that out.
Anyways, sorry, Marcus.
And edit, right. So anyways, so so what we find in this issue actually is we find out that one of the vampire kids, who's one of the older ones, who doesn't really speak to anyone. He doesn't talk anymore because, I don't know, trauma or something like that. But we find that he knows the reason why they went off. They went off to die. And one of the reasons why they were able to live as long as they were because they fed off of animals. The moment they feed off of and get the scent of humans and feed off of humans, their lifespan diminishes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So that's a nice little concept.
Something other than capes.
And so, yeah, exactly. And then you have the group of kids. They kind of splinter off because an actual human child, actually, who's in that human enclave that's still around, she's marching around or whatever. She actually, one group of the kids are actually protecting her against the other group who've already fed on someone human.
So they already have the taste.
So they already have the taste. So that's where the conflict is. And so now, I'm assuming at issue 12 we're going to see what the fallout is. What
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
I might have to get it when it's a trade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
100%.
awesome. I like that.
It's definitely worth a read. Definitely.
Sweet.
Roger that. This week, I wanted to touch on the one bad day. Well, I didn't know if Frank was. Go ahead, Frank.
No, I'm good.
The one bad
my
day.
turn.
I didn't mean for it to be like that. The Ray Shout Ghoul. I just wanted to touch on that. That was really good. It was everything I'd hoped it would be. It's kind of Roz wants to rid the world of evil. He's got his way of doing it. Batman has his way of doing it. And those ways clash. And Roz actually has some success. And then Batman obviously comes along and combats that at one point. Damian is involved. And I don't want to give away too much. It's a one shot. You cannot have read anything ever and just know who Batman is and have even seen the first Batman Begins.
That's cool.
And you'll be able to read this and really enjoy it. Ivan Hayes does the art. Incredible. I think you should go pick that up. And that was the final issue of the One Bad Day series, which all of them were either good to great. I don't think there was any that were really bad. I think I hadn't read all of them. I read like 5 or 6 of them. You've read all of them. Was there anyone that you really didn't like?
I didn't. I think the lowest scoring one, because I posted this on my socials.
Yeah, he was doing grades.
Yeah.
So.
The lowest grade was the Clayface one, and that. But in looking back, I think part of that has to do with the fact that I wasn't as familiar with Clayface as I should have. What people should be in going into that, because that issue didn't really set you up to know who Clayface was.
Such a weird character.
Yeah, he's a weird character. I didn't know he was an actor. I didn't know he
Baz
was.
Carlo, I think.
Yeah, I didn't know any of that background. So for me, I was just like, what is this? Because a majority of that read was him trying to, make his way in Hollywood, or if you will. And then the last couple of pages, you actually start seeing, him as Clayface and doing stuff.
Clayface is rumored to be
In
the villain
Batman 2.
in the Batman 2.
Yeah,
Yes,
that'll
which
be
would be
really
pretty
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. One Bad Day series was a success. Sometimes they do those one shot things and they're all kind of hit and miss. They were all really good.
That's cool.
Read them all. Absolutely.
And now I did something this week. I just picked a random number 1 of something I hadn't read ever, and that would be Exo Man of War Unconquered. Now, I read this. It's got art from Liam Sharp, which I love. It's written by Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad. And so the story is there's Exo Man of War. If you don't know what that is, it's like a suit that has had different wearers throughout time. I'm not the most familiar with Man of War, but I know enough to have jumped into it, I suppose. When I saw it, I was like, okay, it's number 1. I should be able to figure out what's going on. The story was interesting. There was a big monster fight at one point. There's some really cool action sequences in it, which really has more to do with Liam Sharp than the writing.
Yeah.
I think the writing is okay. And I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I'm going to continue reading it. And the reason why is I think some publishers might have an issue with this, others don't. I think Marvel and DC are usually actually pretty good about this, and Boom Studios is good about it.
Yeah.
But there's other, like, sometimes Image with some of their offshoots and stuff like that. This is a issue number 1, a start of a new book or whatever. And I was a little lost. I didn't know what was going on,
Right.
and could be partially because I don't know who Man of War is, but also it seems like it's a I want to say it's an old like Image comic. It's not Valiant. It's Valiant now. Maybe it was something that was running with Valiant, but isn't anymore. But I enjoyed it. It was cool, but I needed to have read whatever came first. And I think that's part of the problem with labeling things as number 1s is this isn't a number 1. There was something that I needed to have read beforehand
to lead into that.
And so it's hard to tell people, hey, go into a comic book store, grab a number 1 and see what you think, because then they might be lost and be like, I don't want to do this. I don't know anything about what's going on. So I think maybe it would be interesting to look at maybe not putting number 1 on things that are continuing stories.
Yeah.
Or saying spinning out of whatever. And I like the way DC did that with like Death Metals and Metals. If there was a number 1 that came from that, it said at the top, spinning out of the event, Death Metals.
Yeah, you
Metals.
should definitely be doing that.
It's a number 1, but this is the prerequisite to having read this or whatever. But I'm going to try to do this every week, grab at least one random book, try to make it a number 1 every time, unless it's something I'm a little more familiar with. But Liam Sharp's art is enough to carry me through this book and think it was visually interesting. He fights like a big Leviathan at one point, and it's super dope. It's not the most compelling stuff, but it's really, really cool to like look at, which, is half the medium for comics.
So you give it an 8.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right.
Numbers. He's about the numbers, man.
He's mad at me that I liked John Wick.
Just quick little a couple news and notes with regards to new stuff coming out in the next few months. Coming up in June, we're going to be well into we're going to be starting our new Batman Brave and the Bold series.
Yeah,
That's going to be starting. It's going to be the prestige format, so we don't have to deal with like the black label thing where they have the giant album, like the vinyl album size. Like
the magazine.
I'm not a fan of like a big giant magazine size, whatever.
Yeah.
They don't store well, I'm sure.
They're weird to store. But they're going to have like multiple writers throughout that run. It's like Joel Jones, Chris Cantwell, Ed Brisson, Tom King. Jock is going to be writing a story, I think, in there.
I like that.
Jock, the youngest? Young Jock?
Young Jock. Young Jock. Well, I think now he's probably middle-aged Jock, but yeah, Jock. Jock will be doing that, as well as some artwork. A lot of artists and writers will be collaborating for that stuff. And something really cool they're going to be doing in June. You know that we're all fans of the Nightwing run that Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo have been doing. In June, they're going to be doing a special issue of Nightwing where they do the entire issue from the perspective of Nightwing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of cool. There's something to look for. I mean,
different.
obviously, we're all going to get it. But we'll be talking about that when that comes out.
100%.
And I'm excited to dive into lots of books. I have a lot of stuff that I need to get caught up on reading. I'm always behind.
I'm
on
excited
reading.
for Deceased, War of the Undead Gods. Will be wrapping up in the next 2 months, I think. I'm a little behind, but I'm going to wait until they all come up.
Darkseid has a yellow lantern.
Right.
That's crazy.
Plenty of
And he's
stuff to
on the
get
side
into and to read.
for everybody else.
Yeah.
Cool. That's good stuff.
So if you guys haven't done so already, if you haven't gone this week, go down to your LCS and pick up some stuff. You can take our suggestions. They're not the perfect or right suggestions. We're just saying there are suggestions. You
Correct.
can take them what you like.
It's true.
Read the comics and you enjoy the stuff you want to read. And let us know if you're reading something that we haven't brought up in the last few weeks. Make suggestions to us because we're always looking for stuff to read besides Batman. So give us a suggestion.
Why I'm doing this.
And have a great evening. And we appreciate you venturing out, Paul.
Yeah,
We will talk to you guys soon. Have a great evening.
Later, y'all.
John Wick was so good, man.
Yeah, man.
It was
Have a
pretty
good
good.
day.
And go see John
It was
Wick.
pretty good.
Yeah. Go see
Or don't. You'll be all right.
We'll edit that out, probably.